Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the last installment of the NU Case File, Part 3. Now, like I said, how are we going to start the fire without getting in trouble, without killing ourselves? Well, this is how we did it. See, what we had is that we had gotten a hold of some radios from a couple of people that we downed, not killed, knocked out. We got a couple of them. And what happened was that the radios would allow us not only to hear the enemy, but for us to communicate. Now, how will we get a hold of the communicate without the enemy hearing? Well, we set on a different frequency, and then we turn it back to our frequency, their frequency. Now, with so many people in and out, me and Jim dressed up like one of them. Sarah and them dressed up like, no, professors, scientists. It's the only way they were going to get access to the lab. Now, how'd that happen? Well, we knocked out the two that was aboard the truck. When we jumped into the truck, Sarah knocked out. No, we knocked them out. Sarah and Deuce and the actual professor dressed up. No, Deuce dressed up as maintenance worker. But that was kind of a weird thing. It happens. And of course, walking around with a maintenance worker can walk just about anywhere she wants. Unhindered. He or she wants unhindered because they're maintenance workers. They gotta be anywhere. And for her to walk into the lab, well, with two professors, all they gotta say is that, yeah, we need you to work on this or that. Not too suspicious. Me and Jim, on the other hand, took it upon ourselves to fill up one of the vehicles that would hold one of us and the creature at the same time, full of gas. The others, well, we kind of emptied their gas tanks all over the floor. No, they were too busy to pay attention because we were acting like we were working on it like mechanics. And we made sure the vehicles weren't going to follow us anytime soon. So just as Sarah and them were entered the lab, they released and, well, they got the two creatures out of there. There were more in there. We weren't going to blow up the place, just set it ablaze. They'd have to evacuate everything. They had already been trying to. One of the professors, Sarah said, was already trying to work on one of their people, injecting him with the DNA of the creature. The results were horrible. The man became like a half ape, half human. They locked him up in a cage. No cognate thought, no cognate speech. He was half human, half animal. This is what they were going to use it for, soldiers. They're both super soldiers. Kind of bad, right? Sarah said it got at one point, it was so bad. When they locked the creature up, it got so angry, it started screaming. And the actual Inju was screaming. She barely got to be quiet. They had to trank it. Had to trank both of them as they left. It turns out they had more than one Inju, and then more than two Injus. The human that they used it. The other one that they captured, the first one that they captured was dying. Is why they captured the other two. They were using it. They were doing experiments on it, using its DNA, using its blood, using its hair, using anything they could get from it. They even tried to get it to speak, to turn into a soldier. It wouldn't speak. It would just scream. There's no saving it. It's too far gone. Sarah said she tried, and the professor that went with her tried as well. But there was no saving the creature. Not that one, at least. The other two, they had a chance. As me and Jim were setting up and ready to leave, we sent a radio signal, and Sarah and them said they were on their way. We waited for them. But how were we going to set the spark? We looked around, and it was like there's a rifle, a few rifles sitting around. And then turned attention to. Then I turned my attention to a flare. Picked the flare up, handed Jim the rifle. We got in the back of a truck, squatted down for a little bit, laid down, waited for the girls. Jim slowly crawled himself to the front. Got in, truck, started it up quietly. One of the men stopped him and said, "What are we doing?" And Jim didn't speak a thing of Chinese. But the professor did. The professor got into the front part of the truck, and Sarah and them led the creatures into the back, the Inju in the back. And Deuce jumped in. The professor translated and said, "We're carrying the creatures to the nearest facility." The man just nodded and shook his head. No, it was going to be an interesting getaway at this point. How are we going to get away? Well, we're just going to drive off. The gas was going to be in case they discovered that the creatures were missing. Or they figured out that there was no second base. Of course, they found out that there was no second base. but they weren't going to be able to do nothing about it. Just as we pulled off, I lit one of the flares and tossed it on the ground. They smelt the gas and they booked it. As the gas went up, as the base went up in flames, and a nice explosion, we were out. We were leaving. And then we left China shortly after that. Well, good luck. Good night, guys. This is the end of the NJU case file. Where to next? Who knows? You'll have to find out next month. Good luck, good night, and God bless.